John, thanks for speaking to Mining Weekly. Losses widened again with coal. When is this going to be reversed?
In the next 6 months, we've said that we want to finally either sell or create the appropriate partnerships or in our total restructuring of our non-core assets, and that's the two thermal coal assets. Unfortunately, ever since the thermal coal prices declined, those two assets were immediately in trouble. Now we were at an advanced stage with a number of interested parties, and we really are targeting the next 3 to 6 months to come to fruition, to come to closure on both those operations. That'll reduce the cash bleed on the current operations. Then the next key one is to bring Vela into production at the right volumes and quality of products that will then generate the profits. And to do that, we need to spend the next $25–30 million on the plant, because the current plant is incapable of either getting to the volumes that we require or produce the products that we need. So unfortunately, that has required a lot of test work. And because it's important that when you do commit that money, that it's going to give you the right results. So in the May board meeting, we will be hopefully approving that expenditure, and what that will do is allow the mine to produce up to 2.7 million tonnes of run-of-mine a year, and that'll produce around 1–1.5 million of products, of which half is going to be semi-soft coking, metallurgical coal, and the balance will be a thermal, either export or an Eskom product. And we're talking to all. Eskom have already done some combustion tests. They like it, but clearly it's going to become a commercial discussion after that. And once that's done, then you're on your way to you're turning the company around from just being a cash drain to something generating some cash. Coal of Africa became a little bit confused. It was a junior exploration company, and the acquisition of these production assets tied in with the take or pay liabilities that were at the port meant that you needed, you're now diverting attention to two assets that were simply not able to pay their way, particularly when the commodity price declined.
Mercado, some good indications there. Definitely hard coking coal presence, which has price implications.
Absolutely, and that's always should have been the core target for Coal of Africa. That's what's going to add value to this company in the medium to long term, is developing that project. Coking coal has a number of nomenclatures, as we know. It's hard, semi-hard, soft, semi-soft, etc., etc. But the key commercial issue, what it means, is that if it's hard, you're paying the top price, or very close to it. So the benchmark price is usually the Gunyela product that comes out of Australia, and what we understand now is the quality of this product is going to be within 2 to 5% of that product in the market. That's fantastic in my view. So that's great. Vela, for example, which is going to be a soft or semi-soft, you're looking at another 15–20% discount off the top. So it's very important what the quality of that product that comes out of the mine. So the confirmation that this is a hard coking coal augurs extremely well for that project.
And if you want this turned into a mine, you've got to get a mining license, you've got to go through the regulatory hoops.
Yes.
Your Black Economic Empowerment partner, will you be able to supply vendor finance?
We don't have the balance sheet to be able to have the conventional type of vendor financing for empowerment transactions. The party that comes in will need to come in and finance themselves and make the necessary investments, both in the acquisition process, into the company or into the asset, and into their share of the capex that's required after that.
How do you propose to fund Mercado?
Mercado is going to be a combination of equity, it's going to be a combination of debt, it's going to be a combination of project finance, and including the injection of finance that's going to come in from our acquisition or transaction with the empowerment partners. So it's going to be a combination of all, and that's why it's quite critical that we get this feasibility study completed, that it's something that can be, you can ring fence the project in terms of financing.
And with the best will, when will you start producing there? Any idea?
Well, as soon as you've got all the project, you've got the regulatory, and you've raised the funding, and you've got the board approvals, etc., and the mine is now, and you've now start digging the first hole in the ground. The first coals will be sort of 18 months later, and then 2 to 2.5 years later, you'll be ramping up to full production, and that will be producing around 2 million tonnes of coking and close to 3 million tonnes of thermal, depending on which quality of thermal that we'll be targeting.
To sell coal mines, thermal coal mines at the moment might not be the great opportune time. If push comes to shove, could you fix them and keep them for a while until good prices arise?
If we're not able to sell, we certainly need to create a partnership or a merger with another party that adds synergistic value to the project. That's what's required. You know, for example, let's take the Mooi Plant's situation. The Mooi Plant's mine has a capacity half of what the plant has got. So there's a lot of synergy there if we can combine it with a contiguous property where the plant is fully utilised. We're also looking at a different product profile out of Mooi Plants. You know, it's in close proximity to the Camden power station. It may make more sense to sell more to Eskom and less export. So we're looking at all these different options, different product profiles, not necessarily just sending it to export, and synergistic value with neighbours.
When do you anticipate you'll begin generating cash out of Vele?
In May we would like to approve the capital expenditure program, and then within 12 months we would like to start. Once we've started that process, as soon as the plant has been constructed, we can start ramping up production to the required volumes and producing the required qualities. And then very quickly we should get into a cash generating position as soon as we're able to. Once that plant has been commissioned and we can get the volumes to where they need to be, and we're producing the two products.
Just give us the story of how you pulled yourself from the brink, as it were.
The key one was finding a shareholder that was prepared to put the money in, and you know, our new investment with BHE has just done that. They've invested $100 million into the company, and a very difficult time, not only for the company but for the country. You know, they were in the country discussing and debating issues with us when Marikana was occurring and everything else, and there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm for investment in South Africa. So we're very grateful that we managed to achieve this in such a short time. So that's given us the window, but that's why in the immediate term now we need to use that window to achieve the strategic goals that I've highlighted, which is obviously, you know, firstly divesting or sorting out our non-core stuff, getting Vele on target as quickly as possible, and getting Mercado through.
And in your production target, 10 million tonnes a year.
The current production is almost exclusively out of Mpumalanga. That'll basically go to zero. And the first two projects will be Mercado and Vele. And between that, you know, you're talking around 3 million tonnes of coking and a similar number of thermal. And the next project that would come from the GSP would have a similar type of product mix, where you'd have probably half the product being a coking coal and the other half thermal. So once we get up to the 10 mark, it's likely to be around 5 or 6 million tonnes of coking and the balance thermal.
And then there's 2.5 billion tonnes in the ground. What sort of flexibility and potential does that give the company? What sort of longevity does it give it?
It gives it huge opportunity. And remember, we've only brought to resource levels that we can declare probably half the area that we've got. So the current exploration program that we're doing is going to increase that number substantially. So you've got the potential, certainly, in the next 2 decades of probably doing twice, you know, when I say twice, probably 10 million tonnes of coking coal alone, and another 10 of thermal. And so the potential is massive.
And what is the main message now that should go out to coal stakeholders?
The fundamental value of this company, though, has always been in the coking coal projects in Limpopo, and that's where the value needs to be, and that's where the focus needs to be. And we need to get Vele going, as I said, in the next year. We need to get Mercado approved, and then there's the next project of GSP. And once you've got that happening, it's a different ballgame. So in my view, it's a 3 to 5 year window that you've got to be looking at, but certainly in the next 3 to 5 years, this company could, if we achieve those objectives that I've just stated, will be on its way.